Welcome back, everyone, to another Explainer. Today, we're tackling something I know pretty much every modern organization wrestles with: how to actually transform digital chaos into measurable business value. We're going to be exploring a genuinely powerful architectural model that takes that whole tangled web of enterprise technology and organizes it into a clear, unified system. Okay, let's dive into this.
Take a hard look at your own digital enterprise for a second. Truly ask yourself, is it fragmented? Because let's be real, modern organizations are no longer these simple, unified environments we used to have. Instead, we're dealing with a tangled, chaotic web. Think about the rapid cloud adoption, the unmanaged connected devices. Yes, even that smart fridge sitting right there in the break room, and continuous automation. It's all growing at an absolutely unprecedented pace, and mostly it's operating in completely isolated silos.
And here's the thing. The core challenge we face right now, it isn't implementation. We know how to buy and install software, right? The real challenge is coherence. Just tossing more tools onto the pile doesn't actually help if you lack a unifying structure. Without that structure, you end up with a really dangerous disconnect between the technical activity happening down on the ground and the true business value that leadership actually cares about.
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer as we build the solution up. We'll start with the digital fragmentation problem, then build up to Layer 1, the intelligence foundation. From there, Layer 2, our operational backbone, and Layer 3, the governance overlay. Finally, we'll bring it all together by moving from visibility to value.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it reveals the ultimate blueprint, the three-layer digital value stack. It brilliantly organizes the entire digital enterprise into three distinct, highly interdependent layers. You've got intelligence systems at the bottom, workflow systems in the middle, and the governance system right at the top within that protective dome. Together, they do something amazing. They transform totally disconnected capabilities into a highly coordinated system.
Let's kick things off with our first stop, the digital fragmentation problem.
So, why exactly do modern digital enterprises struggle so much with incomplete awareness? Well, the symptoms are quite literally everywhere. First off, interconnected systems are evolving continuously. It's a massive moving target. Second, networks are just flooded with unmanaged IoT and operational devices that are, for all intents and purposes, invisible to leadership. And because of this massive blind spot, higher-level systems end up operating on assumptions rather than concrete evidence. It boils down to this: you simply cannot control what you cannot see.
Which brings us to the base of our solution. Layer 1, the intelligence foundation. We're starting our bottom-up build by stepping right into the wilderness at the very base of the stack. This is where all the chaotic, unmanaged raw data lives. The intelligence foundation is made up of discovery and AI-driven systems, and their absolutely critical job is generating continuous visibility and identifying assets across all of your networks. Think of them out there in the trenches, monitoring behavior, detecting anomalies, and surfacing vulnerabilities in real time.
Let's actually ground this with some real-world examples. Intelligence systems in action include powerful discovery platforms like Armis and advanced AI tools like Anthropic. They are the ones doing the heavy lifting out there, mapping broad IoT visibility, tracking operational technology, and performing real-time anomaly detection. They're generating the high-fidelity, continuously updated intelligence that your environment desperately needs to survive.
And this brilliantly illustrates a point directly from our source material. Without accurate visibility into what exists and how it behaves, higher-level systems operate on assumptions rather than evidence. Keep in mind, this base layer, it doesn't make governance decisions, but what it does do is completely eliminate operational uncertainty, which means the layers above can actually do their jobs.
Moving right along, we hit Layer 2, the operational backbone.
Now we're moving up to the operational middle layer. This is where all that raw data puts on a uniform and gets to work. We're actively shifting from the chaotic, raw intelligence of Layer 1 into highly structured, actionable processes. This second layer is represented by the workflow platforms you probably use every single day, tools like ServiceNow, Salesforce, and Atlassian. They take those fragmented signals from the wilderness and turn them into repeatable processes.
You can really think of the operational backbone as the enterprise's ultimate integration point. It ingests all that AI data from Layer 1, normalizes the information, and then connects those technical signals to actual, tangible services. It executes workflows and enforces controls at scale. It is essentially turning technical risks down at the device level into managed incidents and automated, coordinated responses. Basically, it makes governance executable.
And that takes us to the summit, Layer 3, the governance overlay. So, we've finally reached the top of the stack, but there is a really common misconception we need to clear up right away. That DVMS, or Digital Value Management System, is not a tool or platform, it is a management system. This is your strategic governance overlay. It's the overarching framework defining how operations are structured and measured. It's definitely not just another piece of software to install and forget about.
Let's look at the core functions of the DVMS at this top layer. It establishes value streams, defines performance objectives, and sets the critical policy frameworks that guide literally all operations below it. It evaluates success and aligns your strategy to execution. Basically, this layer dictates what actually matters to the business. It gives true operational meaning to all those activities generated by the first two layers we just talked about.
So the crucial point is that the DVMS relies on structured information from workflow systems, not raw technical data. The executives sitting up at this top layer, they aren't trying to read code or staring at isolated ping logs. Instead, they're evaluating performance and risk based strictly on structured outcomes and business resilience indicators provided by that middle layer.
Finally, let's tie it all together in Section 5, from visibility to value.
We've built the whole stack. Now let's move to and see how this builds a dynamic upward flow. It's almost like a hero's journey for our digital intelligence. First, down at the foundation, AI and discovery systems generate detailed technical insights. That information then flows up into our workflow systems where it's contextualized and executed within operational processes. And finally, that structured data is consumed by the DVMS up top, where it's evaluated for true business value and risk delivery. It's a perfect, seamless flow from a raw signal all the way to an executive insight.
What's amazing is how this structure completely shifts our operational mindset. Instead of relying on the outdated method of running around, putting out fires, and reacting to isolated technical concerns based on arbitrary severity scores, the stack allows us to evaluate risks strictly aligned to business outcomes. Decisions are now driven entirely by their implications for business performance. Risk management finally becomes a fully integrated part of your management system rather than an afterthought.
And because these layers are so tightly integrated, we achieve what's known as a continuous assurance loop. Think about it. We have real-time monitoring at the bottom, which is instantly captured in operational processes in the middle, and continuously evaluated against defined objectives at the top. This allows for immediate structural adaptation. Performance assurance goes from being a periodic, totally stressful audit to becoming an inherent, automated capability of your entire system.
Plus, this structure establishes crystal clear, enterprise-wide accountability. As you can see, the intelligence foundation is solely accountable for visibility and detection. Then, the operational backbone takes accountability for execution and control. And finally, the governance overlay is completely accountable for structure and alignment to value. By deliberately separating these responsibilities, issues become highly traceable from the exact moment of detection all the way up to executive evaluation. So, to bring it all back and summarize, the three-layered digital value stack. By separating intelligence, execution, and governance into these distinct yet perfectly integrated layers, we successfully transform crippling digital complexity into true systemic clarity. It is a cohesive operating model where you can finally see clearly, act consistently, and measure effectively. Which leaves us with one final, totally crucial question to ask ourselves as we wrap up today's explainer. Are you managing technical risks, or are you managing business value? Really think about your current operational setup for a minute. If you're stuck in the weeds of technical risk, well, it might just be time to start building your stack. Thanks so much for joining me today, and keep learning.